Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Nexus 2.0 and we are back in new fanfic. Which is What If Itachi and Sakura Secretly Loved Each Other Part 1. The cold, eerie air prickled her skin that night. She slowly opened her eyes as she stared at the alarm clock on her bedside table. It read 11:23 p.m. She got up from her bed, gazing through the window of her bedroom. It had been a tiring day for her, and she wondered why she couldn't sleep. Her gaze fell to the hexagon-shaped frame beside her alarm clock. It held the photograph of a white-haired, half-masked man standing behind his three students, smiling merrily. Although it was merely his pair of eyes which were visible, it seems that he was glad. His arms were spread wide, his left arm wrapped around the shoulder of a sun-kissed blonde boy with cerulean blue eyes. His arms were crossed in front of his chest. He was also looking obnoxiously at the other boy in the picture, where the white-haired man's right arm was draped on. The other boy has a jet black hair and with a pair of piercing dark eyes to match. He is handsome. He seems to be frowning on the blonde boy, but the frown did not show anger or resentment, it was a playful frown. In the middle of the two boys was a pink-haired girl, smiling childishly in the picture, looking exceptionally glad by the fact she's surrounded by her friends. Her team, Team 7. Suddenly, as though a feeling of déjà vu swept her, she dropped the photograph on the cold, marble floor. With trembling hands, she picked the photograph on the floor. She ran her finger through the crack on the photograph caused by the fall. The crack separated the raven-haired boy from his other teammates. With a worried expression, she placed the photograph back on the bedside table and sped out of her room. Ooh, only his own footsteps can be heard from the cold, snowy night. With a backpack in both hands in his pockets, he slowly walked across the road on that silent night. Somehow, he felt like a burglar in his own town, leaving in the middle of the night where all townsfolk are fast asleep, not knowing what was happening. As he was nearing the Konoha gates, he sensed that someone was waiting by the gates. The chakra signature was familiar, and as he sensed to know whose chakra it belonged to, he closed his eyes in pained frustration. Sasuke-kun, the voice said. He sighed deeply. True enough, the voice belongs to her. He didn't expect her to discover him leaving. Sakura, he said coldly. He didn't stop walking and walked past her, but in the corner of his right eye he glanced at his pink-haired teammate. Where are you going? It's none of your business, he snapped. She smiled sadly. Her smile shattered something inside him. His guilt, maybe. Guilt of bringing sadness and suffering to his teammate who never failed to help and care for him during the times he needed it. This is the road taken by the ninjas who left town, she muttered softly. Quote, Sasuke-kun, please. Please be sensible. Don't go to him. His brows knitted in frustration. Who? Orochimaru. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Of course she knows, Sasuke thought ruefully. She knows him too well, like the back of her hand. Go home, Sakura. It's late. You shouldn't be here at this hour. Her lips, chapped by the freezing night and his cold words, trembled at his statement as fresh tears threatened to fall any second. What good will it do? Revenge will not bring back your clan back from the grave. His piercing black eyes stared at her. His dangerous eyes. You will never understand. Finally, the tears she's been fighting hard not to fall betrayed her. Fresh tears easily spilled out from her emerald green eyes. No, what I don't understand is why you're leaving us. After all these years, haven't we been a family to you? He bit his lower lip guiltily. He chose not to respond to her statement, for he also didn't know how to answer her question. True, Team 7 has been good to him, almost like a family. Kakashi treated him like a son. And while Naruto and himself considered each other as rivals, they also treated each other like brothers, even if they both don't want to admit it outright. And Sakura. Sakura had always been his pillar, taking care of him when he was sick or wounded, and motivating him when he needed it the most. She is not just a precious comrade, but someone who he does not wish to hurt the most. She's someone who can make him waver and hesitate, like now. He clenched his fists inside his short pockets. Do you remember this place, Sasuke-kun? This is the place where we first formed as a team. The place where we became a second family to each other, Sakura continued. I don't remember. Sasuke lied. Then he turned his handsome face to Sakura, smirking for a fraction of a second, and Sakura wondered if that was her imagination. You're really annoying. Please, Sasuke-kun, stay. I can make you happy. I can make you forget your revenge against him. Nothing can make me forget my revenge. I am an avenger. Suddenly, to his surprise, she flung her arms around him, her pale, delicate hands wrapped around his middle, and her head resting against his back. He could hear her sobbing and choking with tears, like a child abandoned by her mother. Please stay. Stay with us. With me. She cried softly. Why? Why are you stopping me? He asked in a pained expression Sakura is unable to see. Silence followed. And then, because I love you, Sasuke-kun. He closed his eyes, biting the inside of his cheeks to not betray any reaction from him. Again, guilt swarmed through him as she said that. He regained his composure and sighed. Why, Sakura? I don't deserve it. I don't deserve you. I don't care. As long as you're with me, I'll ask nothing for return. He grabbed her hands wrapped around him, and slowly, he began unlocking her hands from his waist. He turned to face her. Listen, Sakura. Go on with your life. We have separate paths. I have to take a different one, and you know it. She shook her head vehemently, sobbing more. No, I can't. Please, if you don't want to stay, then just take me with you. I'll help you with your revenge. No, he said in a sharp voice. He will never ruin Sakura's bright future in Konoha with his personal revenge. I have no use for you, he added cruelly. For the second time, she smiled, a painful one, and a fresh batch of tears poured down on her face once more. True, I am not skilled enough to be a help for you. But still, just take me with you. I'll be a good company for you. I just can't live without you, Sasuke-kun. This is too much, he thought. He couldn't take it anymore. That is enough, he replied coldly. He turned to leave. No, if you go, I'll scream, and just then, with one swift movement, he was behind her. The cold wind swept by, matching the gloom in the air and the gloom in her heart. Thank you, Sakura, he said as he struck her across her back. Blackness surrounded her consciousness. When she woke up, she saw him walking away from her. Then, with an uttered cry, she realized that it was not the Sound Village he was heading to but straight to the slimy mouth of Orochimaru. His mouth was held wide open, his long, sticky tongue almost like a red carpet in which Sasuke was walking. Orochimaru's large head was floating in midair, through the darkness. Sasuke continues to walk towards Orochimaru's mouth, his back turned towards her. Orochimaru's snake-like yellow eyes glinted with malice as he cackled wickedly. Sakura ran to follow Sasuke, to save him from Orochimaru's grasp. But he was miles away, and it seems that despite how many steps she took, he was still going farther and farther, away from her reach. When she couldn't take it anymore, she shouted with all her might. Sasuke-kun. As though a miracle had happened, he stopped at her voice. He slowly turned his head towards her and she gasped. The body was Sasuke's, but the face was definitely not his. The hair became somewhat longer and tied into a loose ponytail that hung below his shoulders. There were also lines across his face. Somehow, the eyes were the same, but narrower, and the eyelashes were longer. They really look alike, except that he was not the one she loves. Uchiha Itachi smirked. Where is he? Where's Sasuke-kun? She asked him frantically. He smirked, and then took something from his Akatsuki robe. When he took out his hand, he was already holding a cylindrical flask containing a yellowish fluid inside. And floating between the fluid was a pair of Sharingan-activated eyeballs. Sasuke's eyes. His beautiful eyes. No, this can't be happening. He's alive, she stammered, dropping to her knees. Game over, Itachi mouthed. Ooh, no. Sakura bolt upright. Sweat poured from her face, mixed with fresh, salty tears. She looked around her. She was lying on her bed, and she was in her bedroom. She breathed a sigh of relief as she closed her eyes and laid back on her bed again, burying her face on her pillow. It was all a dream. A nightmare, precisely. She took the photograph on her bedside table and stared at the picture. The crack that separated him from them was still visible. She sighed heavily, placing the photograph back to its original position. She got out of her bed and stared through the window. Nearly 5 years have passed, and still, the hidden village of Leaf looks the same. Only the villagers showed changes that time has passed. Now 18 years of age, Haruno Sakura has grown up a lot. She let her pink tresses grow back into length again, and she grew a lot taller now. Her developed slightly, although not as much, development, as Ino had. Her curves showed themselves more, now that she's older. Her green eyes were still the same, bright and cheery. However, it does not hold the same sparkle anymore. She supposed it had gone the day Sasuke left Konoha. She immediately went into her bathroom and took a bath. Then, she dressed up in her usual crisp white uniform. She is a medic nin now, all thanks to her Shisho, Tsunade-sama, who persuaded and guided her to fulfill being a medical ninja. Thankfully, due to her outstanding efforts, she is now the 5th Hokage's apprentice and was considered as the 2nd best medic nin, next to the Godime itself. Kakashi-sensei was so proud of her, as well as Naruto, who, for the first time, treated her to a full bowl of ramen the day he got back from his own 5 years of training with Jiraiya-sama, who is another legendary Sannin. Ino, her best friend, was there as well, giving her a bouquet of flowers from her shop. I'm so proud of you, forehead girl. I'm glad you're not brooding on him anymore. Thanks, Ino pig. They were all jonin now, with the exception of Naruto, who was still a genin because he had been away for so long. Sakura smiled to herself. She shouldn't worry too much. She is surrounded by her friends, and even though her parents had died already, Tsunade Shisho and Kakashi-sensei were always there for her like real parents do. She brushed her hair, and, with one final look in the mirror, she went out of her room, thinking that as long as she's surrounded by her loved ones, she'll always be happy. How very wrong she was. Ooh, the dripping of the water from the ceiling echoed throughout the cave. It was such a silent morning in which the chirping of the hummingbirds and the swaying of the trees, as well as the dripping of the water, were the only ones that can be heard. A figure dressed in a black cloak painted with red clouds was leaning against a tall cherry blossom tree, his eyes closed. He seemed to match the serene area he was in. The sound of footsteps awakened his senses, as well as the strong, familiar chakra signature coming from someone inside the cave. He activated his Sharingan. The figure came into view, although the chakra channels he could see within the person in front of him were blurry. Damn, he thought. It was due to his overuse of Mangekyu Sharingan yesterday after a very straining battle. Your eyes are worse than ever, Itachi. The masked figure remarked. Uchiha Madara, Itachi thought, his eyes slightly narrowed. Madara is currently masquerading as Tobi, the newest member in Akatsuki, in order to hide his identity to other members. But Itachi had known him since he massacred his clan, and he simply could not place his full trust on the man, despite having the man's aid in the massacre to fulfill his double spy role for Konoha. He still has his suspicions. This man claims to be his legendary ancestor from the past, but then Itachi finds it hard to believe. That ancestor had lived past his lifetime already, even if he did fake his death. Quote. He could feel the masked Akatsuki's eyes boring over him. I heard from Kisame you had a battle with Sasuke that ended in your triumph, a close call indeed. As expected, the masked figure said. Quote. As part of his agreement with Madara, both agreed not to divulge each other's true identities given their own personal goals in the organization. Itachi is well aware of the Akatsuki's goals, but he feels that Madara seems to have another hidden agenda. Why, after all these years, he had to show up again in front of him after the massacre, and join Akatsuki? That, Itachi decided, he'll plan to investigate moving forward. As long as Sasuke and Konoha will not be harmed, then the deal for now, with this so-called Madara is on. Madara continued to bore his visible eye on Itachi. While Itachi obviously worked for Konoha's well-being and safety, he decided to keep Itachi at arm's length in the organization. As long as Itachi does not know the true intent and goals of Akatsuki, then it will be fine. He had always been within Akatsuki's shadows, pulling the strings. In fact, none of the Akatsuki has the accurate knowledge of the organization's goals, only him and Zetsu, and not even Pain and Konan, who are the two original members of the old, useless Akatsuki. But Itachi has always been intelligent, powerful and indispensable in the organization. As much as Madara hates to admit, this makes Itachi both a very good member and frightening enemy. He supposed he could wait for Itachi to die, or better yet finally succumb to his nearing blindness due to his overuse of their ocular dojutsu. He, Madara, alone, is undefeated by this curse of their eye power. He managed to obtain the secret to not succumb to that pathetic misery. He was relieved Itachi did not manage to learn of that secret, the secret of his power he got from the great Hashirama Senju, first Hokage of the Leaf and former rival of Madara Uchiha. Oh well, the masked man thought. Itachi is formidable enough in his current state. But where is your younger brother now? Surely he did not return to Konoha after learning the truth. Madara continued to inquire. You told Sasuke the truth and sought him out before he fought with me, didn't you? Itachi snapped darkly after intentionally ignoring the masked man up to this point. I thought we agreed many years ago not to involve Sasuke in this. Pain sent me to Orochimaru's hideout after I heard that he died, to get the Akatsuki ring in his possessions. Hell, does that guy even die? He told Itachi. And apparently Sasuke was the one who finished him off, as per Kabuto. He fascinated me. So I thought, why can't Sasuke become the 10th member of Akatsuki? Seeing we still need one more after I joined, he's a rogue now anyway. So I told him the truth. But he is so intent to track you and learn the truth from you, I doubt he even considered my proposal. He's not to be touched. We clearly agreed on that. Even when you say that, who's to say what Sasuke's plans are now? Especially after learning the truth. Madara sneered. You don't know what he'll do next. I trust him to make the right judgment and be back to Konoha, and live the way as it should always be. Maybe, Madara drawled, but it's up to him. Itachi stood up and turned to leave. I am warning you. Do not, in any way, meddle with Sasuke's affairs from now on. Whatever choices he will make after learning the truth, he'll make them on his own. I am Uchiha Madara, brat. Don't antagonize me. I will, if you don't keep to our agreements. Itachi threatened. When it comes to Konoha and Sasuke, you know that I never hold back, I hope you know that very well. Itachi turned his back on Madara and left. Madara clenched his jaw. He tried to persuade Sasuke and recruit him to Akatsuki, so that Itachi can lower his defenses. He knew Sasuke had always been Itachi's weakness. To earn Sasuke's trust, he had to let Sasuke know the truth about Itachi, in hopes that it would add fuel to Sasuke's hate towards Itachi for being Konoha's pawn and betraying their clan, as well as join Akatsuki to destroy Konoha. While Sasuke did not outright refuse, he said his priority is to seek out Itachi. And Itachi and Sasuke's fight did not go as Madara desired it to be. Sasuke seems still not on par with Itachi's skills, though close enough. Still, it has not been enough as Sasuke still lost, as per Zetsu. Other than that, he was not aware of where Sasuke was at the moment, for Zetsu was noticed by Itachi during the fight and the latter casted a Tsukuyomi on Zetsu, thus, resulting to Zetsu losing consciousness and was only awakened by Madara himself when he went to the battle area after the fight. No matter, Madara thought savagely. He just had to wait for Itachi to die, he thought as he sneered wickedly. As long as he doesn't know the true extent of the plan, he'll kill Itachi once the time is right. Ooh, Itachi. Itachi was about to go back to his room when he came to a halt. He turned to the owner of the voice and saw Akatsuki's leader, Pain. Leader, Itachi answered. I heard about the battle you had with your brother. I hope everything is settled now. It seems so. I am not sure if he'll seek me out again or still gain power after I completely defeated him. But I do not intend to worry about him for now, Itachi replied carefully. The Akatsuki leader, and the rest of their other members, aside from Madara, need not know the truth and his true intentions. He'll continue his role from within, to ensure his own personal goals of protecting his brother in Konoha. I see, Pain said, before continuing, I wanted to inform you of this since you are in charge of capturing the Kyuubi. Though I might have to tell this to the others too, in case they encounter the Kyuubi when you are all doing your separate missions. Itachi remained impassive. What about it? Pain's Rinnegan eyes looked at him. As you know, both the Kyuubi and Hachibi are always surrounded and heavily protected, unlike the other Jinchurikis who were ousted from their village, or went rogue on their own. We got lucky with the one-tailed beast infiltration. But securing the last two of the Jinchurikis will not be easy. Quote. Pain continued on, so, I came up with an additional measure that should you or anyone encounter them, aside from aiming to capture the Jinchurikis, aim to also capture their comrades. That way, it will be easier to lure them out to our hideout. I see, Itachi replied. That makes sense, Itachi thought. While it can be helpful to delay the risk of him capturing Naruto by his own hands, he still doesn't feel entirely good about this instruction. Technically, a leaf shinobi will basically be a bait. Especially the Kyuubi. I've heard that he is fully attached to his comrades. So, it will be helpful to capture someone he cherishes to make our task easier. You do know of his comrades, don't you? Aside from your younger brother, before he left the leaf. Pain asked. Itachi initially thought of Kakashi, who he worked with before during his Anbu days. He knew Kakashi had been Naruto's teacher when he last visited Konoha after the third Hokage died. Aside from Kakashi and Sasuke, he heard from Deidara when they battled Naruto's team before Sasori died that Naruto also had another teammate who was the fifth Hokage's apprentice. Aside from the name Haruno Sakura, he doesn't know anything else or what she looked like. I know of Kakashi, the copy ninja. There should be another one, who is currently 5th Hokage's apprentice, I've heard. Well, that settles it. Either one of them will do. Make sure to relay this to Kisame as well when you capture the four-tailed Jinchuriki tomorrow. Pain said. Zetsu spotted him near the borders of a Megakure and Hidden Stone. Let's ensure we capture him as well. Understood. Ooh, author's note. That's it. So, how was my first chapter, guys? I hope you liked it, even though it sounds a bit familiar to other fanfics, but I assure you that the story will be very different among them. It's just that I used it as an introduction for my first chapter. Well, I hope you kinda liked it, and I hope you'll put in as many reviews as you can, for some improvements. P.S. You might have noticed that I increased the age of the characters in this era, to fit my narrative in my next chapters. So long. Yane. Arigato gozaimasu to all of you, and I hope you'll continue to support my fanfic. Anyway, here's my second chapter, and it's longer than I anticipated. Anyway, I hope you'll like it, and keep the reviews coming please. Yane. I don't own Naruto. Ooh. Chapter 2 Sacrifice. Sakura. Chan. Sakura turned around to see who's calling her. The owner of the voice was her friend, Naruto, who was waving his arms over enthusiastically down the street. Like her, Naruto had also grown up a lot these past 5 years. Not only did he get stronger, but he also began to act mature, although slightly. Still, it's an improvement, she thought inwardly. He also still had the same whiskery lines across his face, and a friendly grin for everybody. Sakura playfully crossed her arms over her chest and walked towards Naruto. You don't need to call me that loud, Naruto, she reprimanded him. Sakura chuckled. She knew Naruto was just kidding around. He used to have a big crush on her since their genin days, and she's not sure whether he still holds the same sentiments now. For her, however, she platonically loves Naruto like a brother. Whatever, Sakura said as she rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Sakura-chan. Where are you heading to, by the way? To the hospital, of course, where else? Well, I hope you're ready for our mission the day after tomorrow to Suna. I can't wait to see Gaara again, and after our mission, I'll ask him to spar with me for training, Naruto excitedly said. Sakura smiled. She and Naruto, along with the other new Team 7 members, Yamato-sensei and Sai, will be going to Suna to assist the Gaara, the current cage, to host the Chunin examinations in their country. It will be a busy task, but Sakura is relieved that the cage has been keeping busy after the one-tailed beast has been extracted from him by the Akatsuki and nearly lost his life had it not been for the sacrificial intervention of Elder Chiyo. Elder Chiyo gave up her own life to revive the cage using her special jutsu. Sakura could not suppress a shudder. She cannot imagine how an evil organization such as Akatsuki can do these monstrous deeds that cost shinobi lives in the process. Whatever their reason is, it will not be acceptable, and she'll always detest Akatsuki. She cannot imagine if Naruto will befall the same fate as Gaara did. Naruto is one of her best friends, the only one, aside from her sensei, Kakashi, who's left in the original Team 7. Her second family. Naruto waved his hand to her face when he noticed her blank expression. Earth to Sakura-chan. What are you thinking? Did you hear me? Sorry, I was out of it for a moment. Sakura smiled at Naruto, and playfully smacked his arm. When we reach Suna, make sure to address Gaara properly. He's still the respected cage there. Whatever, Gaara will always be Gaara. He doesn't mind. Sakura made a stern face and was about to say something back to Naruto when she looked at her watch. Oh, crap, now you're making me late. I gotta go now, Naruto. Tons of work in the hospital and I'd like to help Tsunade Shisho and Shizune as much as I can. Alright, do you want to grab a ramen together after you work? I'll invite Kakashi-sensei. I heard he's also coming back from another mission with Team Guy tonight, Naruto offered. I'm so sorry, but I promised Shizune that I'll work overtime tonight and tomorrow. Naruto made a face. So hardworking. Can't you do it some other time? Sakura shook her head. No, I can't, Naruto. I already promised her, and I wouldn't take it back. Especially as the hospital has a lot of workloads nowadays, she answered. We rarely see Kakashi-sensei nowadays because of the new team arrangements, and I just thought it would be a good time to catch up. Naruto pouted and his arms crossed over behind his head, kicking a stone on the ground. I'm really very sorry, Naruto. Maybe next time, Sakura guiltily said. I have to go now. That's a promise then, Sakura-chan. And next time, your treat. Naruto said mischievously before Sakura could react about her forced treat, waving off and running in the opposite direction. See you in our mission. She sighed and decided that she would make it up to him and Kakashi next time. That she hoped, as she smiled ruefully. But there would be no more next time. Ooh. Sakura sat on her table, working on some paperwork, going over some patients' files. Shizune had mentioned to her that one patient of theirs from last week is already set to be discharged and will be escorted by Anbu for trial. That patient happened to be a shinobi who went rogue and robbed small villages. She updated the discharge slip and pored over the bingo book to check their patient's profile in the rogue ninja section to cross-check. After making some notes on the patient's file, her gaze went through several names of S-class criminals, all of them coming from different countries. Some from the village of Suna, some from the Iwagakure, others from the Kumogakure, Otogakure and Kurigakure, and the remaining are from Konoha. She came across Uchiha Itachi's profile. He looked so much like Sasuke, that it pains her to look at him any longer. She closed the bingo book and turned to put it back on the table when it missed and it fell on the floor, its pages facing downwards. She picked the book up and was about to close the book when she noticed that the pages were opened directly across the profile of Uchiha Sasuke. Her fingers trembled as she scanned his profile. It read missing Enin and traitor to the village. She stared at his picture and bit her lip to stop her tears from falling. Remembering Sasuke will always affect her, even after all these years. She doesn't know if it is still because of love, or just because of the accumulated feelings of pain in trying to forget him and move on. I wonder where you are now, Sasuke-kun. She whispered to his photograph, before closing the book for good and placing it away from her. Just then, the door opened and a woman with glasses appeared. Sakura-san. What is it? Megumi-san. Sakura queried. Shizune-san is in the emergency room and she requested your help. Oh, thank you. I'll be there shortly. She reached the emergency room in no time and spotted Shizune standing over an unconscious man lying on the bed. Shizune's brows are furrowed while looking at the patient's vitals on the monitor. What happened, Shizune-senpai? Sakura asked. Shizune glanced at Sakura and sighed. Over here, Shizune answered hurriedly as she motioned Sakura towards the bed. Lying on the bed was a man, his face and head was fully covered with bandages. Despite his partially healed wounds, he looks in a terrible state. This is a patient that was being attended earlier by Lady Tsunade. She partially healed him already when I arrived in this room. She told me that she found this patient unconscious in the balcony of her office. According to Lady Tsunade, the patient was unrecognizable before she healed and bandaged him. His face must have suffered burns as well. Sakura leaned over and checked his pulse and heartbeat. Indeed, both are still weak. The man's breath hitched, and she gasped when the patient's vitals suddenly dropped. She put her right ear on the man's chest, checking for his heartbeat. It is very weak, she almost cannot hear it. This is bad. His heart seemed disrupted, Sakura thought immediately. Shizune-senpai, I can take over this one. I have no doubt that somehow the burns were caused by electrocution. From the looks of it, it must be high voltage electricity as it disrupted his heart's electrical system, forcing it into a fatal rhythm. I assume it's arrhythmia. I'll leave him with you then. Shizune said, then smiled proudly and added, I have complete faith in you. Sakura smiled, warm feelings elating her chest as she nodded at Shizune's compliment. When Shizune left the room, Sakura went to the bathroom sink and washed her hands properly first. Then, she took her surgical gloves and medical scrolls and started to work. She heaved a deep breath before taking out a scalpel as she physically cut through the man's chest cavity, enough to fit her hand and lower arm on it. She then proceeded to put her hand inside, and aimed to reach his heart directly. After reaching his heart, she carefully covered it with her medical chakra-infused hand and applied gentle, but strong strokes for constant pressure. I need to keep his blood flowing and make his heart beat normally again, Sakura thought as she squeezed his heart. Her other hand grasped the man's head carefully as she lowered her mouth to the open slit of his bandaged mouth and concentrated to provide him CPR. She glanced at the man's bandaged face and took note that he already stabilized his breathing, but is still unconscious. She continued the physical pumping of his heart while providing him CPR to keep his bodily functions stable. When she finally felt that his heart started pumping normally again, she glanced at the monitor and was relieved to see his vitals become stable once more. She quickly proceeded to close the cut she made in her chest using her medical ninjutsu, as she glanced at the clock. It took her an hour for the procedure, it seems. Just then, Shizune opened the door and nodded at Sakura. Lady Tsunade wants you to come to her office, Sakura. Your team is already there for an emergency mission. Sakura furrowed her brows in confusion. But we have a mission in Suna shortly. It seems your mission to Suna will be given to Team Asuma instead. Shizune replied. Do you have an idea on what the emergency mission is about then? Sakura asked as she proceeded to pack up and leave. Yes, I happened to mention it to you earlier too, Shizune said, as Sakura's hands froze on the clasp of her medical pouch. It will be to track the Akatsuki and retrieve the four-tailed Jinchuriki. Ooh, so, luring a bait, huh? A shark-faced man named Kisame drawled, standing up and turning to follow a raven-haired man with a Sharingan out of the cave. That shouldn't be too difficult. Ah, most recently, we just got the four-tailed Jinchuriki captured. I wonder when and where we can get across to the next one, growled Kisame while walking and swinging the unconscious four-tailed Jinchuriki on the back of his Samahata. Itachi glanced at the unconscious Jinchuriki, noting that it's a middle-aged man. You have to handle elders with a bit more care, if I were you, he said. You're saying that because you're not the one who worked so hard to capture him, Kisame accused playfully. Well, it doesn't matter. I can handle him myself even without your genjutsu, he said. Kisame sighed. He was used to his partner's one-word responses. Being teamed up with him for years, he was used to it. Although he is twice as big as Itachi, he didn't dare try to pick up an argument with him. Not that he's scared or anything, but he respects Itachi the same way he does with Pain, unlike the other members of Akatsuki in which he would willingly ground them with his beloved Samahata. They began hopping from tree to tree within the forest towards their hideout. Roughly about 2 hours after they began their trip, Itachi sensed a mix of familiar and unfamiliar chakra signatures zooming towards their direction, to his displeasure. Itachi quickly snapped his eyes wide open as he activated his Sharingan. 3 tomos immediately appeared in his red orbs as he stopped on their tracks and landed on the grassy ground. Kisame followed suit, lowering the handle of his Samahata to drop the unconscious Jinchuriki on the ground. The kunoichi for a bit, though he didn't know her name. He was sure she is the same young pink-haired girl wearing a red ribbon headband back in Sasuke's academy. After all, that hair color isn't something very common. He saw her briefly in one instance when he used to pick up Sasuke after his classes, where he saw her shyly peeking over at Sasuke's direction and obviously wanting to get his attention. He knows it's the same girl, because he recalled that young, innocent Sasuke once asked him how to start a conversation with a certain pink-haired girl in his class. Itachi inwardly sighed darkly as he closed his eyes. As much as possible, he does not wish to encounter hidden leaf shinobis by himself as much as possible, given his personal agenda. But at this point, he has no choice. The only thing he can do now, to not rouse suspicions, would be to stick to the alternative plan Pain mentioned. Well, luck is on our side today, Itachi. Imagine coming across 2 Jinchurikis without a sweat. Kisame grinned evilly. Naruto pointed his finger towards Itachi. You. He growled angrily. A pleasant meeting the both of you again, Yamato-san and Naruto-kun, Itachi greeted cordially. Kisame chuckled. Naruto gritted his teeth in anger, and his eyes became somewhat red, no longer blue. A red chakra flashed around him suddenly, making the situation intense. Yamato made a grab for Naruto's shoulder to stop him. Uchiha Itachi. It has been a long time. And you're with Hoshigaki Kisame, he said coldly. Oh, I'm glad you knew me. I was afraid that Itachi's the only popular one, especially with the ladies, Kisame grinned mischievously. Well, no matter, because we're going to capture the Jinchuriki and kill all of you anyway. Itachi scowled. Contrary to Kisame's remark about being a lucky day, Itachi felt otherwise. It seems Iwagakure had informed Konoha of their capture of the Jinchuriki, and Konoha sent a retrieval mission team. He does not wish a full-blown fight with 4 grown shinobi, one being a former Anbu and one an overdetermined Jinchuriki. He does not know the fighting styles of the other 2 yet, but somehow he felt he should not underestimate them likewise. Yamato ignored him. That's not going to be easy, we'll stop you. We do not wish for a fight. Itachi said, knowing full well that Konoha shinobi were not known to back down from a fight. Just give us Naruto, and there will be no need for anyone to die today, he added, sticking to his double spy role. The pink-haired Kunoichi chuckled humorlessly at the back. Oh, going soft now, aren't you? Like Naruto, he could feel the same hate in her eyes directed at him stronger than directed in Kisami's direction. Sakura, be careful, Yamato warned. Kisame pointed his Samahata towards the pink-haired Kunoichi's direction. Smart mouth, aren't you Kunoichi? Well, I'll let my sword do the talking. But Itachi raised his hand to stop Kisame. No, Kisame, Sakura. The pink-haired Kunoichi then must be the Haruno Sakura who fought against Sasori, Itachi thought. No wonder there was a strong fury from her directed at him. Like Naruto, she was also the former teammate of Sasuke before the latter went missing. Nin. Don't underestimate them, they're my younger brother's former teammates. This girl must be the one with Chio-san from the sand who fought with Sasori. Kisame did not drop his Samahata, but stopped, nodding in comprehension and exchanging a knowing glance with Itachi, before turning his attention to the leaf ninjas. Oh, so you killed Sasori, together with that old hag from Suna. Sakura and Naruto further grimaced on this. Well, this could be fun, he added. We only need you, Naruto. We do not wish to fight you, Itachi said. What do you want from me? Give Sasuke back to us. Naruto growled. Itachi smirked, amused. Naruto-kun, I certainly did not force my foolish little brother to leave Konoha, Kisame chuckled. It was your fault he left. It's all because of you. Naruto shouted. Itachi stopped smirking, but remained with his impassive face. Yamato went to his combat wood-style jutsu stance. We will bring you to Konoha, to atone for your crimes. Sai did the same stance, getting ready for his ink drawing technique. The Kunoichi put her hands on her pouch, also ready for a fight. Itachi shut his eyes with a closed expression. Kisame smirked beside him. Well, it seems that we have no other choice. Then Kisame added excitedly, let's see what you can make of the Samahata. Naruto, unable to keep himself further, darted in rage towards Kisame and Itachi with Bunshin clones. Naruto, wait, Yamato yelled. Then he turned to both Sai and Sakura. I'm going to cover Naruto as much as possible, he's the one they're after. You both separate Kisame from Itachi. While he's not a fatal genjutsu user like Itachi, he is a formidable missing nin from the mist. That sword he wields, that's a menace, try not to get your chakra absorbed by it. Yamato explained quickly as he darted off to join Naruto against Itachi. Mokuten. Mokujoheiki. Yamato shouted as a dome of intertwined branches materialized from the ground to trap Itachi. Itachi dodged them, but then was kicked by one of Naruto's clones back to the intertwined branches. The branches immediately grasped Itachi's ankles, to his arms and to his chest where he was trapped. Hell yeah, Naruto yelled, but then gritted his teeth when he realized he's suddenly the one being trapped by the branches. Don't be complacent, Naruto. That's his genjutsu. Don't look at his eyes. Yamato warned. Itachi watched Naruto struggle against the branches, but then disappeared in a puff of smoke. Shadow clone. Huh, Itachi drawled lazily as he turned to the true Naruto behind Yamato. He turned to the other fight on his right and saw the pink-haired Kunoichi charge to Kisame without further ado, unleashing her strong punches against the mist shinobi. The pale-skinned shinobi, on the other hand, summoned his ink bird drawing and flew above, covering the Kunoichi as he hurled his other ink beast drawings towards Kisame. Kisame grinned excitedly. Unlike Itachi, Kisame obviously is in the mood for a full-blown fight. Whoa, you sure have those mean punches for a small girl, Kunoichi, he said as he dodged Sai's drawings and swung on it with his Samahata. Sakura ignored Kisame and continued to hurl her punches to him. Water release. Water shark bullet technique. Kisame roared. It hit Sakura, to Kisami's satisfaction. Sakura-chan, Naruto yelled. Naruto is attached to his teammates, that's for sure. Itachi thought. He thought of Pain's instructions. If Kakashi is not here, then automatically, Naruto's female teammate would do. Too bad, Pinky, Kisame smirked triumphantly, vanishing in the instant when he noticed she turned into a log. Kawarimi no jutsu, huh? He turned to find where she went off to, as he noticed she can mask her chakra very well. He failed to notice in time that she came from above Sai's ink bird, jumping in front of him and narrowly missing her punch, which hit the tree just behind him. The huge tree split cleanly in half, much to Itachi and Kisami's surprise. Itachi, little distracted from the sight, quickly assumed that the kunoichi is not someone to underestimate. Her taijutsu is lethal, and if one of them gets hit by her punch, they'd surely call it a day. This will not do, Itachi thought. Naruto took advantage of Itachi's light distraction and then charged at him with his Rasengan. It hit Itachi's middle, but Itachi deflected it on time with his genjutsu, disappearing in multiple crows to Naruto's surprise. Naruto whirled around, and saw Itachi standing side by side with Kisame. This can be troublesome, right, Itachi? Kisame sneered. But I'd say we can manage despite being outnumbered. No, we cannot risk angering the Jinchuriki too much. The tailed beast inside him is something we cannot subdue only with the two of us. Itachi said, while thinking the contrary. He needs to delay in capturing Naruto as much as possible. We just need to distract them further. I did not expect the girl and the ink boy to be that problematic. Let's do the plan. He insisted. Figures. So, what will we do? Itachi glanced quickly at Kisame and said quietly, leave the kunoichi to me. The rest, please manage. Kisame nodded in understanding and hurled off towards the leaf male shinobi and executed a series of hand seals. This is a chakra-consuming jutsu, he sneered. But then, no sweat. Unlike you, Itachi, I have massive reserves, he added wickedly. Water prison shark dance technique. A massive dome of water then followed Kisame, allowing him to drown and trap Yamato, Naruto and Sai all at once, all of them unable to use any counter jutsu. It's hard to breathe in here. Naruto sputtered. This is bad, I am unable to use my wood techniques inside this dome, Yamato snarled, gasping for breath. Naruto, Sai, I want you both release simultaneous chakra from all of your pressure points. This can take time, but this is the only option for now. I am not sure if Sakura brought sealing scrolls with her. How will releasing chakra from our pressure points be effective? Sai asked hoarsely. The accumulated released chakra from all our pressure points can increase the water volume inside this prison beyond what it could contain, which will allow it to burst. Yamato furrowed his brow. However, this will not be easy as the water prison released by Kisame is larger than necessary. I assume it was for the reason to reach you from the aerial as well, Sai. And since he did not use his shadow clone for this technique, I assumed he needed his own self to do this technique, given the amount of chakra needed. Aside from that, as this water prison jutsu effectively works better against one-on-one, this jutsu is not made to last with multiple people inside. Itachi then walked towards Sakura, taking advantage of her distraction on the massive water dome that enclosed her teammates. She began darting to them, unleashing her sealing scrolls. Itachi, who understood what Sakura was about to do to counter Kisame's water prison, swiftly connected his kick to her abdomen as she flew back and hit her back against a tree. Sakura-chan! Naruto yelled inside the water dome. Sakura rose back up her feet. She healed her minor broken ribs, glaring at Itachi. A taijutsu medic nin. Not a bad combination, Itachi thought. It was an odd mix, as medics are usually not for combat and remained at the back of the battlefield. An odd mix like herself, with her unique, distracting pink hair and bright green eyes. I urge you to not waste your chakra on me. It's no use. With these eyes of mine. Itachi said as he walked closer towards the kunoichi. Sakura gritted her teeth angrily. And what makes you think I cannot dispel genjutsu? Itachi raised his brow. You're already inside my genjutsu, why don't you take a look? Quote. Sakura looked at her surroundings and found that Yamato, Naruto and Sai were no longer in the water prison and they're all unconscious on the ground, seemingly drowned. No, Sakura thought, I can do better than this. Kai, she mustered inwardly, effectively and determinedly using her chakra control to manipulate and break free from Itachi's genjutsu. Impressive, Itachi thought. She can dispel genjutsu. There are few people who can dispel his genjutsu, much less with non-Sharingan wielders. It seems you have a natural affinity to dispel genjutsu, along with impressive chakra control, Itachi observed simply. I'll make sure your genjutsu won't work on me, Sakura replied, closing her eyes. Let's see, Itachi thought. You really think so? Itachi asked softly, but in a different, rather familiar voice. When Sakura opened her eyes, she did not see Itachi anymore. Instead, she is seeing another raven-haired boy. However, the shade of the hair is much darker, and his spiky hair runs upwards similar to a chicken butt. He is wearing the same outfit she saw him last, back in the Snake Sanin's hideout, a white loose long-sleeved top with a slit that exposes his muscular chest, and dark shinobi pants with a purple cloth wrapped around his waist tied up by an upside-down purple ribbon at the back. This man's complexion is also fairer, and he does not have the stress lines the earlier man she talked to possesses. Lastly, the eyes, boring into her, were the onyx orbs that gives her that familiar pang in the heart. The same orbs she used to stare so much back when she was young, back when she was still a genin, back in Orochimaru's hideout 2 years prior. You can't use Sasuke-kun as an illusion against me, she hissed, as she tried to dispel the genjutsu, but found that she was unable to. Was it because this genjutsu was stronger than the earlier one he casted on her? Or, she swallowed her throat painfully, was this somehow the real Sasuke-kun? If this is an illusion, the Sasuke in front of her said, seemingly understanding her current thoughts. He inched his steps closer towards her, until they were merely a foot apart, and his Sharingan activated into those familiar red irises. Then, why did you not try harder to get out of it? Sakura swallowed her throat once more. The proximity with this Sasuke, whether real or not, was making her drop her defenses pathetically. He continued, inching closer to her when she failed to respond. I'll tell you, he murmured, as he grabbed hold of Sakura's chin to make her look at him directly into his eyes, before turning his lips beside Sakura's left cheek, barely hovering her left ear. You're a silly girl, who's in love with my foolish little brother? He whispered, before looking back at Sakura's face, his eyes blazing with his Sharingan. And then, by a split second before Sakura lost consciousness, the Sasuke in front of her disappeared and was replaced by Itachi once more. Ooh, it seems a peaceful Sunday morning in the Hidden Leaf Village, not until a loud slamming of a hand on the desk was heard and emanated from within the walls of the Godime's office. We don't have enough time to waste, I have to go and find Sakura-chan, Naruto's angry voice yelled. I'll hunt those Akatsuki myself. No, Kakashi said. They're after you. As much as it displeases you to hear, I am assuming they took Sakura as a hostage. They obviously think they can lure you in. Does no one understand? I can't just stand here and not rescue Sakura-chan, shouted Naruto. It's all my fault. I am supposed to be their target. He added, clenching his fists. Tsunade, who was silently listening to Yamato's explanation on what transpired during their mission, spoke, Naruto, Sakura is my precious apprentice, and I also wanted to go there by myself and take her from their clutches. Shizune sighed disbelievingly, but what do they need Sakura for? I know they're after Naruto. Why take Sakura? Jiraiya, who was also in the office, spoke while leaning against the wall. I am guessing because they don't want to engage in a full-blown fight against 4 ninjas at once. Then he added, and Itachi knows he cannot risk Naruto losing control of the Kyuubi, so taking another comrade to lure Naruto eventually would definitely be one of Akatsuki's plans. That makes sense, Yamato piped in. It happened when we were trapped in this massive water prison the Mist Nin released. Sakura is trapped in Itachi's genjutsu. At first, She dispelled it. But Itachi lodged another genjutsu at her, and I assume it's a stronger one as she was not able to dispel it anymore. She fell unconscious, and then the Uchiha took her and signaled for the Mist Shinobi to release us as they went away, taking also the Jinchuriki with them. We tried to follow them but the Uchiha released this black fire jutsu and we were trapped again. They escaped with Sakura, Sai explained. All of them fell silent. I just can't understand. Naruto gritted his teeth in frustration. I am supposed to be the one they're after. For now, what we'd need is a plan, Kakashi said, putting his right hand on Naruto's left shoulder, in an attempt to comfort him. A careful, smart retrieval plan if you ask me, Shikamaru, who was also called upon from his home for this urgent meeting, added simply. Man, this is too troublesome early in the morning, he thought inwardly. Tsunade, who was curiously calm all throughout the discussion, exchanged glances with Jiraiya and smiled slightly. It did not miss Kakashi's notion, even with his Sharingan deactivated. But then, Kakashi observed. It seems like Godime already has a plan in motion. Everyone looked from Kakashi to Tsunade at once. Naruto darted immediately to Tsunade's desk, both hands gripping the sides of the desks tightly. Tell us, please, let me do something. Naruto pleaded. Tsunade sighed deeply. Naruto, calm down and I want you all in this room to listen closely. And, no one, apart from us in this room, will be allowed to know of this plan. She then turned her serious expression to each of everyone in the room. Understand? They all nodded. It carries a certain risk, so absolute discretion should be the first thing in this case, Jiraiya said. You already know of Godime's plan. Yamato asked Jiraiya, surprised. Jiraiya smirked. Well, we initially talked about this before, so I might say, yes, he said, before adding, I had no idea though that it would happen sooner than anticipated, right, Tsunade? They must have been in a hurry to accumulate all the tailed beasts, Tsunade replied. In any case, I have shared my growing worry with Jiraiya back when the cage was captured by Akatsuki. We anticipated that we need to be more ready and gather as much as intel about Akatsuki as soon as possible. Tsunade heaved a deep breath, before she continued. We thought that the quickest way to get intel from Akatsuki is not from working on the outside. It must be from within. Kakashi, Yamato, Shikamaru, Shizune and Sai all displayed visible signs of shock mixed with quick comprehension. Except for Naruto. But, Naruto stammered, I don't understand. What's got Sakura-chan got to do with this? Don't you still understand, Naruto? Jiraiya asked, raising his brow. It means that we thought to plant someone from our village to infiltrate Akatsuki. Naruto's cerulean blue eyes widened, finally understanding. Jiraiya started to pace the office slowly, while explaining, we all know that's not an easy feat. Akatsuki is a very cautious and formidable organization. They even get their members by hiring them directly. Tsunade lowered her eyes and clasped both her hands under her chin, still wearing her serious expression. But we do know that there'll come a time when they will try to capture you or someone to lure you out from our clutches, then she added, looking directly at Naruto. That's why we think it would be best that if that happened, we have to take the opportunity and grasp it. But, Naruto sputtered weakly, Sakura-chan, she knows about this. How could you? Did she even agree? She did not know she's going to be captured. Kakashi piped in, his brows crinkled with worry and understanding, before looking at Tsunade. It seems she already knows, and agreed to it, hasn't she? Naruto whirled around and looked at Kakashi, aghast. Tsunade sighed again. Yes, we had a talk when she came back to the village after her fight with Sasori. In fact, the idea came from her, Kakashi. Kakashi's eyes widened. Everyone in the room, except Jiraiya, all gasped in surprise. She was always worried after the fight with Sasori. She told me, Tsunade glanced at Naruto, that she cannot bear to have one of her best friends go the same way as the cage did. She said if Elder Chio wasn't there, She fell silent, unable to continue further. She swallowed her throat before continuing. As she's always teamed up with Naruto on missions, she clearly understood the context and premise of this plan. She knew Akatsuki will not bat an eye to killing her should her true intentions be made known. Thus, she planned to negotiate with them in case she is captured. And that is to offer them her medical skills and services by being a member, and in turn, to not kill Naruto even after they capture the Kyuubi and to not destroy the villages as much as possible. Thus, with that and internally, accomplishing her hidden agenda to gather as much as intel from within. But wait, we all know when the Akatsuki captures a Jinchuriki, the Jinchuriki dies. We know what happened to Gaara, Shikamaru persisted. That's the case with the other Jinchuriki. For Naruto, I think it will be different. Jiraiya answered. Huh? Naruto asked, suddenly distracted. Why would I be any different? Jiraiya closed his eyes. Minato, your father, told me this before you were born. Uzumaki bloodlines are special. Aside from massive chakra reserves, Uzumaki clan has exceptionally strong life force and vitality. While most Jinchuriki can die instantly, it can be held different for you. That can be just a mere assumption, Naruto shaking his head. What's the proof, if it did not happen yet to me? Because Kushina, your mother, survived, although weak after Madara extracted the Kyuubi during her childbirth. She died because of the injury itself when she and Minato shielded you from the Kyuubi's attack, Jiraiya explained. When Naruto stood frozen in shock, Jiraiya promptly continued, so, even if you get to be captured by Akatsuki, more or less by Sakura herself while being a double agent spy, you will not die. The tailed beast will be gone though, but we will try our best, along with the allied nations to stop this from happening of course, and prevent the looming war ahead. But this still does not make sense, Shizune said weakly. Sakura knows Akatsuki has evil plans that she needs to be doing by herself the moment she becomes a member. We all know for now, from her fight with Sasori, that Akatsuki aims for world peace, but that comes with unacceptable methods which they are doing now. We did not have any record yet that Akatsuki intentionally destroyed a village, as they purely focused on capturing the tailed beasts. The only exception was with the cage where the Akatsuki bomb user almost blasted the village. And that is only because he was well protected within Suna. Tsunade answered. But along the way, people and allies can die, Shikamaru said slowly. Jiraiya sighed deeply. In war, sacrifices are inevitable. The same way Sakura made herself a sacrifice, he added, we just have to try our best to prevent these happening, and limit casualties and more innocent lives involved. Everyone fell silent. I still don't understand, why is she willing to go that far for me? Naruto said weakly. Putting herself in that kind of danger. Tsunade smiled sadly. Yes, but it's not just mainly for you, Naruto. She does this to protect Konoha, her home. She already lost her parents, and she can't fathom if her home, and her comrades are taken away from her, too. She exhaled an amused smile to Naruto. Well, I told her she can even compete with you on becoming the next Hokage. Her dedication to protect Konoha is also above my expectations. Jiraiya chuckled at Tsunade. She could even give you a run for your money, Tsunade. I still find this risky, Sai quipped. I've worked with the Root before, and dark organizations such as Akatsuki won't really fall for that negotiation unless Sakura has something up her sleeve to offer. I know she's strong, but I'm not even sure if that's enough to convince this Akatsuki. She does have something up her sleeve, Tsunade said, exchanging glances again with Jiraiya, who in turn smirked at her. Just trust her. Ooh, author's note. How about it, guys? It gets interesting, right? It will get more interesting past this point, I hope. So stay tuned. Keep the reviews coming. Yane. P.S. I've edited this chapter as I was inspired by some YT fan-made videos I've watched recently. Sorry for the late update though, it seems I'm kinda running out of ideas since I realized the plot I have chosen to write was really complicated. Well, the title of the FIC speaks for itself. Lol. Well, it's time to read the third chapter of Complications. I hope you'll like it. Review please. Ya nay. Ooh. Chapter 3 New Member. Sakura opened her eyes with a start. She scanned her surroundings briefly, while sitting up on the cold ground, and found rocky cave walls. She was also tied up by chakra strings. She realized that she was indeed captured and must be in their hideout. About time, she sighed bitterly. She wished she had indeed gone for a get-together with Team 7 when Naruto asked before she was captured. She doesn't know what will happen to her now at this point, if her plans will work. You're awake. Sakura turned to the owner of the voice, distracting her from her musings. The voice came from a man with an orange spiky hair, slowly walking towards her from the entryway of the room. What surprised Sakura is the eccentric appearance of the man. The man's face is covered in piercings, and he has frighteningly odd purple eyes that have a swirling pattern. Behind him is a woman with short blue hair with a bun and amber eyes. She has a light blue paper flower clipped on her bun. Sakura's eyes narrowed into slits to pain. Who are you? You are Haruno Sakura, the Kyuubi's friend. The man said, in an authoritative voice. You're not answering my question, Sakura said fiercely. Just then, one by one, the Akatsuki members walked inside the room. She can see a man with an orange swirl mask and black hair. The mask had a hole on its right side for his right eye, but Sakura can't see past the hole. There's another man who has medium-length gray hair and distinctive purple eyes, and he is holding a triple-bladed scythe on his back. Beside him stood a tall man with a gray hood over his face and black mask. The only visible features she could make were his eyes with unusual coloring. It has green irides, no pupils and red sclerae. The other one should be the most eccentric of them all. He looks like a Venus flytrap plant enveloping a single body that seemed to have dual personalities and divided features with which the first half is black and the other half is white. He looked so inhuman, Sakura wonders what kind of creature this is. The other members were ones she recognized, having been acquainted with them from one point to another: Deidara, Kisame and her captor, Itachi. We are all ready for the extraction of the Yanbi, the masked man excitedly squeaked. Sakura looked at him, slightly distracted. In such a gloomy organization, his voice and vibe seemed off. It's like a light, goofy cartoon character. She wonders if this kind of personality is even allowed. It's good that all members are here today. It will be quicker than using those astral projections around, Kisame said. Who's that wench? The man with gray hair and purple eyes suddenly inquired, pointing at Sakura with his scythe. I recognize her, Deidara said. She's one of those brats who fought my man, Sasori, and killed him, HN. Ah, the man with the gray hood and black mask and green irides spoke with comprehension. Kyuubi's friend. The bait, Sakura grimaced upon hearing the unpleasant terms they used to address her. Wench. Brat. Bait. Who captured her, then? The flytrap man asked. We did, Kisame said. We were actually outnumbered, and Itachi has not yet fully recovered. The Kyuubi was about to get ballistic, but we managed to get this one before things get ugly and troublesome. Toby thinks the bait looks like a doll. She is very pretty. And Toby likes pretty things. The orange mask man exclaimed. Itachi glanced sideways at the man, with slightly narrowed eyes. Madara still sure loves to role play, doesn't he? Itachi thought. She sure is, Deidara mused distractedly, rubbing his chin and looking at Sakura with a vague, faraway expression. Everyone looked at him, including Sakura, their eyebrows raised. Suddenly realizing his slip-up, Deidara quickly said, well, I haven't focused on her appearance clearly when we fought them before with Sasori, with everything going on and stuff, HN. The man with piercings spoke to the members, ignoring Deidara's statement. We'll start the extraction in a moment, then turned to Sakura. I am Pain, I am God. He then added, this is Akatsuki and I am the leader. I assume you're aware on why we captured you. To lure Naruto, No doubt, Sakura replied dryly. Pain looked at her with those intimidating orbs. That, and based on our intel, you also happen to be the 5th Hokage's apprentice, and a skilled medic nin. It seems we could make quite good use of you. Sakura narrowed her eyes again. You captured me to become a bait, and you expect to make good use of my abilities. Kisame sneered. Oh, she's feisty. You will do what is commanded to you, Pain commanded, before adding in an authoritative tone, as if you have a choice. Sakura clenched her fists. Oh, I do, she said softly. Everyone looked at her with an unreadable expression. Then Hidan laughed mockingly. Trying to be brave before you die, aren't you, wench? Hey, leader, why don't I sacrifice her for my rituals? Not yet, Pain said to Hidan, before turning back to Sakura. Explain yourself, he ordered simply. This is it, Sakura thought. She had imagined how this scene would happen numerous times, ever since she proposed the plan to Tsunade and Jiraiya. She rehearsed anticipated questions and answers, but it never beat her pounding heart on what can possibly happen if all comes fail. Oh well, I've been prepared to die ever since I accepted this mission, she thought ruefully. But she wanted to at least die trying and giving it her best shot. I do not wish to just be a bait, Sakura said. Let me be a member of this organization. Ever since that fight with Sasori, I wanted to get an in-depth explanation of what Akatsuki's goal of world peace meant. I wanted to know if it aligns my own desire for this world. Pain's eyebrow rose higher, and spoke in a voice which hinted at danger. And what makes you think, he muttered, we could trust you? That you are not saying this, just because you wish to infiltrate our organization and know of our secrets. Sakura looked at Pain unflinchingly, though inside, she wanted to blast off in a run and never look back. I have no more family left in Konoha. My parents, they died because of the war between nations. Innocent casualties. Civilians who were caught in shinobi war, she smiled bitterly. It was true, her parents died 2 years ago. A large group of shinobi from Iwagakure infiltrated the village and targeted civilians to wage a war against Konoha, their revenge plot from the Third Shinobi War. She was on a mission back then, and it distraught her to come home to find that she's already orphaned and was not able to protect her family. She fell into a serious depression during those times, having consecutively experienced a heartbreak from Sasuke leaving the village. And another heartbreak of her parents dying. She continued, I seek for permanent peace, not just temporary ones the nations are intent on keeping for now. And if Akatsuki aims to achieve that, I see no reason to ally myself to any other nation. But aren't you loyal to Konoha? You fought so hard in protecting your Kyuubi friend, even killed my man, Sasori. Deidara interrupted. Do you expect me to come marching down Akatsuki's front doors and ask you guys to hire me? Like, I don't even know where Akatsuki usually is. And I doubt you'll be entertaining me the moment I do that without a kunai slashing down my throat. Kisame sniggered at the Pinket's sarcastic response to Deidara. Sakura glared at him, before continuing, of course, Konoha's my home, that's where I was born. Nothing could change that. I protected Konoha as I have my duty as a kunoichi. But over time, while these wars still never cease, day by day it is making me realize that this is not the end goal I am fighting so hard for. You know fully well that for this goal you say you desire as much as we do. Pain said slowly. That we do acquire the tailed beasts. Your Kyuubi friend will die eventually, and you will even lend a helping hand on that. After Sakura had recovered a bit and healed her wound, she and Itachi proceeded to get the payment from the Tsushigake's subordinates in a remote area of the Iwagakure the next day. After getting the payment, they proceeded on their journey back to Omegakure. While on their journey back, Sakura noticed that her Akatsuki ring glowed with warmth. Glancing at Itachi's direction, he nodded briefly and proceeded to a halt. Sakura surmised Itachi's ring must have done the same too. Are we being summoned right now or something? Sakura asked Itachi. We'll have to stop for a while to see what's so urgent about it, Itachi replied. They looked for a rather secluded and secured spot by the foot of the Rocky Mountains, roughly hidden by trees and big trunks. Both of them sat on a nearby spot and began to do their projection appearance by using the magic lantern body technique the Akatsuki usually do to conduct long-distance meetings. When she first joined Akatsuki days ago, Conan and Pain taught her this technique by sending out thought waves, which are converted to chakra and which the thought waves were picked up by Pain, who acts as the main control center. She knew she had done it correctly when she suddenly saw herself standing alongside with other virtual images of the Akatsuki members, which looked like the members they represented. When she further glanced around, everyone had already arrived except for Hidan and Kakuzu. Apart from that, a large beast was sprawled unconscious on the ground. It resembles a large turtle, but with a crab-like shell, spikes all over its body, and 3 shrimp-like tails. Pain's projection suddenly spoke. I have called this meeting urgently because of 2 reasons, he began. First, is that Toby and Deidara successfully captured the 3-tailed beast, so we have to directly seal it to the statue. While this will be a rather quicker approach given the beast doesn't have a host, the sealing technique still needs to be performed and may still take a bit longer, given the current circumstances. What do you mean? Kisame asked. And is there a reason why we are starting this meeting and extraction even without Hidan and Kakuzu? Precisely the reason. Unfortunately, Hidan and Kakuzu both perished yesterday while on their way for another mission, Pain said. 2 members at the same time? Deidara asked. How did that happen? Hidan can't even die. Well, as Hidan is immortal, he couldn't possibly die. But his presence cannot longer be detected, as well as his chakra. Zetsu found his body, without its head, somewhere in the woods within the land of fire. As for Kakuzu, we are unable to find his body but found traces of his blood not too far from Hidan's headless body. Hidan's head is nowhere to be found. We assume those people from Konoha took Kakuzu's body to study its anatomy, Pain explained. Konoha shinobis killed them? Kisame asked. Yes, if I am not mistaken. They tracked Kakuzu and Hidan shortly after the latter was able to kill Asuma, the son of the 3rd Hokage few days ago. Sakura's breath hitched. Asuma Sarutobi, he's dead, she asked, nonplussed. It seems so, Pain said. The last time Hidan and Kakuzu were here, they told me they managed to kill Asuma, who had a large bounty on his head. They said that Asuma's team was able to ambush them, therefore, standing against their way. How awful, Sakura thought. She hasn't had many interactions and missions with Asuma-sensei, however, he was a very good-natured sensei who always supported his students. She thought of how devastated Shikamaru, Choji and her best friend, Ino, will be. This is indeed troublesome, Zetsu implored. We just managed to be complete in headcount again, and then all of a sudden we suddenly lost 2 members. We can worry about that later on, Pain said. For the meantime, the priority is the tailed beasts. We are nearing closer to our goal. Indeed, Toby squeaked excitedly. We shall proceed with the extraction of the tailed beast now, Pain said as he summoned the Gedo statue once more, and the remaining of the members went to their respective places to begin the extraction process. Ooh, they were finally free to go after the extraction went on for nearly half a day. Sakura was still numb from the news that Asuma had died, and she felt useless about what happened. Her comrades have been getting hurt. Jiraiya-sama had lost his arm and now, Asuma died. She has to pick up her pace on her investigation, otherwise more of her comrades are going to die. As per Pain, their hideout will now be changed from a megacre to somewhere near the border of Land of Fire and Land of Hidden Hot Water, given that their operational base has been discovered by Konoha already. Strategically, it is located closer to the middle between Kumogakure, Land of Lightning, and Konohagakure, Land of Fire, as well as a bit closer to Kurigakure, Land of Water, which houses all the remaining Jinchurikis, the 8 tails, 9 tails and 6 tails respectively. The 5 tails, which was also yet to be captured, had been said to be sighted near the border of Land of Hidden Stones and Land of Wind, to which Kisame and Zetsu were instructed to capture. After Pain gave out the new hideout's coordinates, Itachi and Sakura turned to proceed and travel back to their new hideout. This means on their journey back, they will have to pass by the land of fire, particularly Konohagakure, Sakura thought. Confidently, she turned towards the land of grass which borders between both land of earth and land of fire. However, she noticed that Itachi seemed to be turning in the opposite direction, going to the land of waterfall instead. Isn't going around the Hidden Leaf Village the easiest and quickest way to the land of hidden hot water? Sakura inquired. Itachi glanced at her briefly, hopping from tree to tree, until he said, "It is." However, large nations such as Hidden Leaf have highly skilled sensory-type ninjas that can easily detect outsiders. While we are technically not outsiders and have a birthright here, our chakras, especially yours, can be easily detected given you've just gone rogue very recently. But can't we just disguise as someone else and alter our chakra? Definitely, but it is proven to be more effectively done in other villages, particularly those smaller ones, Itachi answered. Konoha has skilled ninjas who can easily detect chakra disturbances, Byakugan users, for instance. Sakura nodded in understanding, her stomach plummeting slightly. She was hoping to get a glimpse of Konoha while passing by, and somehow be able to give out signals to any of her comrades. She also would want to get a discreet glimpse on how they are doing, given the recent death of Asuma. More importantly, she has to let them know about the black rod hypotheses she has that came from Pain's body. When they reached the land of waterfall by evening, they decided to stop by its hidden village, Takigakure, to find someplace to stay and eat. When they saw an old, run-down tea shop far from the center of the city, they decided to order something to eat. I'm curious about something, Sakura said as she began to eat her yakisoba order. Why didn't Akatsuki go after the tailed beasts at the same time? Like everyone can just be divided and go after them, right? Itachi took a bite from the kelp onigiri he ordered before answering Sakura. The tailed beasts need to be sealed consecutively. Otherwise it will be troublesome to keep each Jinchuriki for a long time when it isn't ready to be sealed yet. But Pain is intent on capturing Naruto a few days ago in Omegakure, Sakura observed. I say it's troublesome, but not impossible and the ideal approach, Itachi said. The Seven Tails Jinchuriki, however, were captured earlier by Hidan and Kakuzu way before the Four Tails. So it is being kept somewhere while the Six Tails are not captured yet. Thus, housing two or more Jinchurikis while the sealing sequence is not yet in order, can be challenging. I see, and not all Akatsuki know where the Seven Tails are right now. Itachi looked at her with slight suspicion. These questions, he said softly, are just for research purposes of being a new member. Or is it something else? Research. I need to at least get more context on what I will be eventually doing, right? Sakura replied quickly. She could tell Itachi did not entirely believe her, though he did not push the matter further. Only the leader, and Konan knows, I think, Itachi said. And for sure Madara, he thought. I see, Sakura said. And another thing, you sure are a very curious individual, aren't you? What do you expect? Sakura scoffed. I'm a new member. Naturally, I am curious about everything. Itachi raised his eyebrow, but then Sakura took it as a cue for her to continue asking him a question. Did the other members, by any chance, know the abilities of Pain? The ones that we saw during the fight with Konoha a few days ago? No, as far as I know, not all members know about it. Only the oldest members it seems, Itachi said. I knew about it for some time now, he added. That means aside from yourself, it will be Konan and Zetsu, as the oldest members. And me, most recently. Sakura observed. And Madara, Itachi inwardly thought. However, Sakura didn't know Toba's true image as the latter poses himself as a newbie. Why ask this? Itachi asked. Because I don't think Pain wouldn't have been comfortable for everyone knowing those skills of his. I doubt that he trusts all Akatsuki members, aside from Conan, who's his partner. The other members have seen the other Peens in certain situations, but not all. Unlike what you've seen that day. How about you? Have you seen all the Peens before? Yes, but I already know somehow even before seeing all of them. Sakura didn't ask how. She knew Itachi is highly intelligent and perceptive. And dangerously so. Still, she's impressed. What do you think they're called? Like, obviously those are not mere shadow clones, aren't they? They looked and acted all too real to be one. Sakura asked. I heard the leader called them once as the 6 Paths of Pain, Itachi said. 6 Paths of Pain, Sakura thought. Hang on, she definitely heard some of those words before. Or was it somewhere she read about? She tried to concentrate where she encountered those terms. Suddenly, like a light bulb in her head, something clicked. Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the Sage of 6 Paths. Founder of Ninshu. They were at least taught about these basic information during their pre-Genin days, for written examinations. However, as studious as she was back then, she even read additional background information about the founder of Ninshu for more context. The Sage of 6 Paths, who apparently wielded those legendary eyes himself, the Rinnegan. Those who wield the Rinnegan have access to each of the 6 Paths techniques that grant the user powerful and near god-like abilities. The Diva Path, which is able to manipulate attractive and repulsive forces. The Asura Path, which allows the user to augment their body with mechanized limbs, weaponry and armor. The Animal Path, which allows the user to summon a wide variety of creatures. And the Preta Path, which is capable of absorbing all forms of chakra, including most ninjutsu. Pain's abilities, which she saw the day she fought Naruto and others, all match those techniques. Why didn't she realize this sooner? And the other Peens, the ones whose abilities she wasn't able to see yet. She's now sure that they wield the other abilities in the 6 Paths techniques, the Naraka Path and the Human Path. She can't exactly remember how the last 2 paths work, but one of them definitely involves mind control or mind reading. She also read about an outer path being somehow part of the 6 paths, but can't remember further aside from that. Shit. This is bad. Sakura inwardly panicked. If her deduction is correct, then that means her assumption that the 6 Peens can communicate simultaneously using the metal rod as means of being a transmitter is correct. Their eyes have also been connected, like surveillance cameras, as she heard Jiraiya-sama deduce during his fight with the other 3 Peens. It all fits. And the real pain, it is evident that the real pain is not even among the 6 men. Not even the face of the leader she talks to. Those 6 bodies that possess the Rinnegan, they must have been mere vessels being remotely controlled from the shadows by the true wielder. The true face of pain. Jiraiya-sama, he would surely figure this out too, as long as she sends him the message in the black metal rod piece. But how? How can she effectively send him and Konoha about this deduction, without being detected, more importantly by the Uchiha she's traveling with? Sakura is so absorbed in her thoughts, that she didn't notice Itachi eye at her uneasy face briefly. Did he give her too much information about their leader? Itachi thought. Not that he cared, but he still wasn't exactly sure where this Pinket's true allegiance even lay. After eating and walking out of the tea shop, she pointed at the bookstore in front. Would you mind waiting here a bit? I'd like to check out some medical books and see if they have anything good in there. Thanks, Sakura said. I'll meet you back here. Roughly about after 5 minutes, she emerged from the bookstore carrying a small brown paper bag with a purchased book inside. Finished? Itachi asked. Yes, let's go, Sakura replied. That was rather quick. Oh, you noticed? Well, they really don't have a rather large selection up there. Suddenly, she was cut off when 2 rowdy little boys, who were running around, bumped and collided hard with Sakura's right side. The collision brought her accidentally closer to Itachi, who was walking on her left side. It made her lean unintentionally closer to him, her lips almost touching his collarbone. Itachi caught her waist and balanced her. Oops, Sorry, the kids shouted, before scurrying away. Sakura instantly blushed, as she wriggled out of Itachi's grip. Inner Sakura, who didn't say anything, just resorted to performing cartwheels instead. Mortified, she just managed to blurt out, sorry about that. It wasn't your fault, Itachi simply said. While she's a bit relieved that Itachi seemed unconcerned, she felt a bit disconcerted. Why is she the only one being overly affected by all these? She thought, unsettled. Distracted in her thoughts, she didn't notice Itachi picking up the parcel she was holding earlier, in which the brown paper bag was already torn from the earlier rough collision. From it, a small green book fell out which depicts a cover of a white figure knelt on its right knee and its right elbow placed upon his left thigh, with the back of his right hand supporting his chin in a posture evocative of deep thought and contemplation. Itachi blinked and stared at it, seemingly unable to say anything at first. Isn't this make out tactics? He asked softly. This was the medical book you wanted to see? He asked, as he held the book for Sakura to see. What? Sakura's eyes then went wide from realization as her gaze from Itachi's face went to the book he was holding. Then, she went into the deepest shade of scarlet. It was the reddest Itachi has ever seen her in. She snatched the book out of Itachi's hand aggressively and clutched it tightly, while trying to hide it from his sight. This is just for a bit of a light background reading, she stammered defensively and clumsily. Ah, Itachi drawled nastily. I see. Anyway, just mind your own business. And then Sakura stomped away from him in embarrassment, determinedly walking ahead from him while her hips swayed in irritation. Itachi didn't notice that his smirk widened and that it made his jaw ache a bit. He hasn't felt this amused for a long while, that his jaw muscles must have ached from being unused. This kunoichi never fails to fascinate him, he thought, as he turned to follow her trail, his smirk never leaving his lips. Ooh. Beyond mortified. That's how Sakura can describe her feelings right now after that incident. Unbelievable, she thought, pinching the bridge of her nose as she lay sprawled on her bed in the room. Fortunately, they managed to get a temporary place to stay, which is an inn inside Takigakure, and procured separate rooms. She needed to get away from Itachi for now. From him and his amused eyes. Great, she thought. Now he'll think she's some of a pervert who's so intent in reading these kinds of books. But, wait, why does she feel so concerned about it? She doesn't care what that damn Uchiha thinks. She could read any book she wanted to, and she couldn't care less about his damn opinion. If it's just not because of her agenda. She suddenly bolted upright from her bed as she held the book in her hands. Yes, her agenda, remembering why she bought the book in the first place. As mortifying as it had been, this book is the best idea she got now for her next plan. Sighing, she turned to read some pages of the book. She also got a paper and a pen from the bedside table and started to scribble something on the paper while reading the book intently from time to time. Once finished, she reread again what she had written, and rolls the paper in a tight scroll once she's confident that the letter will not be decipherable to any outsider. She crept out of her room window quietly, before landing stealthily like a cat on the ground below her window. She doesn't want to use the door to get out of her room, as Itachi might still be awake and might hear her going out of her room. She doesn't want him to know what she'll be doing. Going a bit further to the secluded backyard not far from their inn, she bit her thumb and placed it on the ground before her, before quietly whispering into the chilly night, Kuchio's no jutsu. Just then, a small slug appeared. It is not the full version of the slug her Tsunade Shisho is accustomed to summoning every time, as she is still working on to complete her Byakugo seal, to which she has been storing carefully controlled chakra for nearly 3 years now. Nevertheless, she felt that the tiny slug was perfect for this mission. Sakura-sama, the slug greeted. Long time no see. Katsuyu, Sakura said. I'll need your help, please. I'm at your command. Please deliver this to Jiraiya-sama, Sakura instructed quietly, as she gave Katsuyu the scroll, and the half of metal black rod she had kept. The slug swallowed it by her tiny mouth. It's important. I trust you to please deliver it to him safely. I will do so. Thank you. And then, with a hopeful gaze to a departing Katsuyu, Sakura turned back to return to her room as quietly as she could. What Sakura doesn't know is that a masked chakra was watching the situation take place. His Sharingan blazing in the darkness, he watched the scenario unfold. His feet had brought him to follow the Pinkett, when he saw her stealthily leaping out from her room window. She seemed to be in a hurry, that didn't notice him perched on the rooftop of the inn. He could not sleep, so he tried to get some fresh air, only to witness the Pinkett stealthily going out. She is obviously in contact with someone, Itachi thought. He is going to find out. When he's sure Sakura is out of earshot, he swiftly and quietly follows the trail of the slug. When he reached the small slug, he immediately casted a powerful genjutsu against it. Show me what you've just got from Haruno Sakura earlier, he demanded. The slug immediately regurgitated the scroll from its mouth, as well as a piece of familiar black metal rod he had seen pierced on Pain. Surprised, Itachi took the metal rod and scroll carefully. He then proceeded to open and read the scroll, unable to decipher it. To whom are you supposed to deliver this to? These are to be delivered to Jiraiya-sama, one of the legendary Sanins. Itachi stilled. Jiraiya. Sakura is still in contact with Jiraiya-san. But during their encounter a few days back in their hideout, Jiraiya had confronted Sakura on her allegiance with Akatsuki. Why in the world would they be in contact not long after? And this metal black rod, why is she sending it to? Unless. And another thing has been bugging Itachi. Of all people to contact, why would Sakura intentionally send a letter addressed to Jiraiya? Isn't she supposed to contact the 5th Hokage directly? Itachi seemed at a loss for a few moments, until something clicked inside him. He looked at the letter again. After using his Sharingan to mentally copy the contents of the letter, he immediately rolled back the scroll and gave it back to the slug, together with the metal black rod, ordering it to proceed in its delivery and casting a final genjutsu to make the slug forget its encounter with Itachi. Then, he swiftly went to the same bookstore Sakura went into few hours prior. He was relieved that it had not been closed yet for the day. He quickly shuffled within the book stands, and found what he was looking for. Make Out Tactics. Written by Jiraiya. There's no mistaking it, he thought. He proceeded to the counter to pay for it. After his payment had been accepted, the man told Itachi, "Lucky you, this is the last copy I have. The other one was already bought earlier by a pretty young woman. This is really a popular book, I'd say." Quote. Itachi went to his room as soon as he returned to the inn. He then proceeded to get a pen and paper and started to write the symbols he saw in the scroll. 9, 31, 8, 106, 207, 15. 9. The symbol for 9 seems a little strange as he focused on the memory embedded in his Sharingan. The number 9 is not written the same style as the other numbers. Is there an intentional reason for this? Itachi wondered. It looks like number 9, but at the same time it didn't. He then proceeded to open the book he purchased, and as though seemingly answering his thoughts, he noticed on the first few pages the same symbol, 9, in the scroll was being used in the book. The symbol was being used to represent a katakana letter, he observed, as he compared the penmanship of the katakana letter, ta, which exactly looks like the 9 that was written on the scroll. Intrigued, he turned on every page of the book corresponding to the next succeeding numbers on the paper. He is forced to read some lewd and insinuated excerpts on it, while writing the first sentence of each page below the corresponding number on the paper he had written the numbers on. Once finished writing until the last page, he studied the first letter of each sentence, connecting them in chronological order so that they are arranged as per the order he had read on the scroll. His breath stilled. The real one's not among them. Her asking about Pain previously was not just a mere curiosity. She was able to decipher. And now she's letting Konoha know. The presence of the black metal rod says much. and to put it in a coded message with only the legendary Sanin, Jiraiya would be able to interpret and perceive, a smart move indeed. Purchasing the Make-Out Tactics book that Jiraiya authored, and coincidentally sending a discreet letter to the latter made Itachi realize that Sakura's claim on buying the said book out of entertainment purposes was merely a ruse. Itachi himself had been assessing how to get this information to Konoha without being detected, once he was able to learn about Pain's abilities back then. And Sakura had managed to do it, brazenly and in a cunning way that impressed him. This proves Sakura is, like him, a spy. A spy for Konoha, infiltrating Akatsuki to get information. But why? Why did Konoha send her, when he, Itachi, is already a spy? But then, up to this point, he realized, no one from Konoha knew after the third Hokage died, as well as the elders. Not one soul living remained to know, except for Madara and Sasuke. Now that he sent Sasuke back to Konoha, was Sasuke able to stay? Did Sasuke tell the truth to the fifth Hokage? If he did, they would surely have sent further reinforcements already to let Sakura know that she need not remain in Akatsuki, for he, himself, is already doing the job. Is that the reason why Naruto, Jiraiya and the other Konoha ninjas went to retrieve Sakura a few days ago? But Sakura seemed to have no idea of his allegiance, as well as the others. He would have known and felt it. No one is that good to be an actor. Even if she is, what on earth is she planning? She really is something else. One thing is for sure, he'll protect her secret no matter what. They are both protecting Konoha, after all. Ooh, author's note. Did you like this chapter so far? I hope you did like it. It was an entire one chapter dedicated to Itasaku anyway. And that's bit of a cliffhanger in the end, I know. So I'll try to update as soon as I can. Please review. So long. Ya nay.